Hello out there, Caniac Nation. Thanks for joining us for session 54. I'm Griff.
I'm AB.
And tonight we are coming at you live, and we have something special, right? So we are definitely in the dog days of summer.
Mm-hmm.
Not much news to talk about. Actually, no news to talk about, really.
Tumbleweeds.
I mean, basically. There's some news from outside the NHL, but, we don't really focus a lot on the NHL landscape. We try to keep it here at home. But, so we decided that we'd get together today with some fans that we have met throughout our journey here with Caniacsessions and kind of bring them on and give them their, 15 minutes to kind of talk about their story, right? Their fandom, some of their favorite memories, whatever it is. So I think you guys will enjoy the lineup that we have tonight. But before we do, first things first, we are brought to you by DraftKings and BetterHelp as a member of THPN. That's the Hockey Podcast Network. Caniacsessions is also a promotional partner with SeatGeek. Sign up with SeatGeek.com. Use promo code Caniacsessions and get $20 off your first ticket purchase. So take advantage of that. It helps us. It helps you. And it helps SeatGeek. AB, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I wanted to ask you this because a West Virginia legend from football, Tavon Austin, retired.
First of all, it's not Tavon. It's Tavon Awesome. Let's get it right.
That mixtape is legendary. Have you seen it?
Have I seen it?
Well, I don't know.
Of course I've seen it.
I don't know.
So, for everybody out there, I grew up in West Virginia. I'm West Virginia native, huge Mountaineers fan. Not the App State brand, the West Virginia brand of Mountaineer.
That's right.
But yes, I definitely know who Tavon Austin is. Followed his whole career, and just with his retirement yesterday, kind of took me back. I found myself like Googling Tavon Austin highlights all day yesterday, all evening yesterday anyway.
But other than that, football season is about to start.
Yeah, you're right.
And I am pumped, especially with the Wolfpack. But I'm ready to get some news about Jarvis and everybody else. I can't wait for all these fans to join us. It's something we haven't done, and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get going here, but we will shift it from football to hockey. And we're going to bring in our first guest. This is, let me pull him up here, Andrew. Andrew is a musician. He's located right here locally in Cary. He says he's been a passive fan since he was about 12, but he really started getting into it in the 2018 and 2019 seasons for obvious reasons. Andrew, thanks for coming on. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on, seriously.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. So tell us your story. How did you become a fan? How long have you followed the team? What is it?
Okay, so I've been like passively following since I was like you said 12 or 13 or something, because like my family would take me to games because I mean, what else is there for a kid to do? So like we would go to like one every like year or something. I remember going to like a Senators home game, Penguins home game. We did it sporadically because we were kind of bad during that whole 10-year stretch.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. I usually preferred like Panthers stuff back when they were good.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of fell off in recent years. So the combination of that and then like the Canes starting to get like really good out of nowhere, and then I started like really getting into it like 2022, 2023. Like I went to like a couple really important games then, like the Sharks comeback,
yes.
There was I went to a couple ones where the Stars were coming here, and that just kind of like it radicalized me. I'm all in now.
I remember that Sharks comeback like it was yesterday.
It was insane.
I didn't go, and I watched it, and I regret every second that timer ticked down. No, I was not. Wait. No, I was there. I was there.
That season, there was like 3 crazy comebacks. There was like the Sharks comeback. I think was it the Kings maybe?
Flyers. The Flyers one.
There was the Flyers one. I thought we came back against the Kings too. Was it not the Kings?
No, that was on Justin Williams night, right?
No,
are you thinking about that one?
The season before.
Oh, well.
Anyway.
And then the Islanders won this year.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, yeah, also the Panthers won. I've been to a lot of those.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of games like that are the ones where you really like it kind of embeds like a core memory.
Yeah. I still remember like the feeling when I went to the Sharks one. I was like talking with my dad. It was like, yeah, no, we really shouldn't have pulled the goalie that early. And then I was scored. Okay. Guess and so, I was yelling the entire car ride back.
It was wild.
It really was, yeah.
I remember that game. AB, I thought you were there, man, but where I sat that season, I was in section 115, and to my left during that game, there were like, I don't know who they were, and they were hosts of some radio show in the Triangle.
Yeah, there were 4 of them. There were 4 of them.
Yeah, and they did like
so I was there. Yeah, I remember.
They did like the siren. After I think it was like after the second period, they did the siren, and then they came back to the seats briefly, and they were like, hey, we're not going to win. We're leaving. Our radio show starts at like 5 a.m. So they bounced, and then as soon as they left, it was like, goal, come back, win. So, yeah, great. Sorry, I just had to relive that game for a minute.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
So let's AB jump in whenever you want. If you got questions for him, if not, I'll shoot some.
Well, Andrew, so this year obviously was a little bit disappointing, to say the least. But with free agency, we lost a couple of really good guys to big contracts. Out of all of the free agents that you saw, which one are you most excited about?
Like that joined the team just recently?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, honestly, either Gostisbehere or Walker, one of those two. Gostisbehere was one of my favorites when he was here a few years ago. I think it was, yeah, he only left for 1 year to go to Detroit, but right. Always one of my favorites when he was here. So I'm really excited to have him back, and I've seen incredible stuff from Sean Walker. So I am very excited to see him here. It feels like we haven't lost much on the D front, like despite the big names going elsewhere and getting paid exorbitant amounts of money, but like it doesn't feel like we lost that much compared to what we paid for them.
I agree 100%. We talked about it in session 53. We showed like a comparison of what we were losing and what we were bringing in next off season, right, with the Orlov and the Burns contract coming off the books, and then bringing in Nikishin and Morrow probably to replace them, and then just and then you just look at that decor. You don't lose a lot of production. If I think you might actually gain some production from the blue line. So, this year too, I mean, if you look at Gostisbehere, like you said, Gostisbehere put up more points than Shea on a worse team, arguably.
Yep.
So
56.
Yeah, it's 56,
yeah.
I believe. Yeah. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. A lot of our like high profile free agency that left have been like extremely overpaid everywhere else. Like Gensel, $9 million for Gensel is like I'm still kind of shocked that happened. Like whatever. Did Shea pay like 7?
7 by 7, yeah. Shea.
Yeah, that's insane to me. Pesci was like that's more reasonable, but like it's still a lot. And like what we replaced them with is a lot more reasonable by comparison. I'm really happy with what we did. So
yeah, I totally agree. So I got a question for you, and this is kind of along the lines of free agency and what we lost and what we brought in and so on and so forth. But obviously this team has. I mean, I guess if you look at the full roster on paper, right, one could say that we've taken a step back. I like to say that we've taken a step back to take 3 steps forward, right? Given the cap space that we'll have next offseason, the free agency market that's coming up, all of that, I think that we're in a great place to really weaponize our cap space. But what makes this season, right, this upcoming season, what makes it a success for you? Like, what do you need to see out of this season for you to sit back at the end of the year and be like, I feel good about what we just witnessed?
I feel like 3 major things. Number one, I feel like this is most obvious, but like you need Natchez to just elevate, just get to that higher level. You're because the way I see it, you're not. Natchez is either going to be Natchez is not going to be here on the same contract next year. He's either going to be extended or he's going to be traded somewhere else. This is his year to prove himself. If he performs at the level we need him to, then I expect that he's going to be extended next year. If it doesn't work out, I think he is shipped off somewhere else for the kind of retooling year, which is next year. But I think the first thing that I would need to consider this season successful is I need Natchez to take that next step. And if that doesn't happen, then I think you send him off.
Is Marty Natchez a center?
Maybe. I mean, that kind of leads into the second thing I consider is that you need Kokaniemi to do something. Because, like, last season was terrible, yeah. But 2 seasons ago, for what we were not terrible.
Hey, bro was cooking from like January through the Stadium Series. I mean, if we could
and
get
then
that
what happened?
Yeah. If he can keep going from there, then and prove himself to be like he doesn't need to be worth what he's being paid. He just needs to be a second center for us because that has been a huge weakness for us, like time and time again. And I feel like if he can be that for us, it doesn't matter what he's being paid. That's over and done with. We just need to get something out of what we're paying him.
Agree. Yeah, I 100%.
Third thing, kind of a nothing point, but like I'm assuming we're bringing in like Bradley Nadeau sometime during this season.
Mm-hmm.
Get off to a good start. I think that's a very important part of the season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Getting some rookies some time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been like thinking like maybe put him on like second line with like maybe I don't know Kokaniemi, Natchez, like give that an opportunity because like you want Kokaniemi to have an opportunity to put up numbers that are decent for a second line center. I'm not going to put the bar too high, and you want Nick to take that next step. I think having a line of like Nadeau, Natchez, Kokaniemi would be a way to give everybody on there an opportunity to take that next step for each of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you 2 more questions.
Okay.
First one. Who are you the most excited about this year? Obviously, you can't include Slavin, Sebastian Aho, or Seth Jarvis or Natchez. You know, some of the guys that don't get as much recognition as the top guys. Who are you the most excited about this year?
Most excited about it. Honestly, if it turns out those way, I'm really looking forward to Coach Chetkov getting more time.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's proven himself enough to be at the very least on par with Anderson. And honestly, I would say more consistent at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm really, I hope that eventually, like at least if not during the season, then like afterwards, I think he should be our first option when it comes to goalies.
Mm-hmm. Second one. This is going to be a contest between our next guest and you. If you've been listening, what is my nickname for Brent Burns?
Oh God, I have no idea.
No.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh no,
That's all right. That's all right.
We're just going to see if anybody can happen to.
Yeah,
and if
I'm
the other guests that are waiting behind the scenes, don't go Googling it or looking it up.
No,
either.
if you do that, no, won't count. And the comments, you can't say it.
So before we let you go, Andrew, so really your success, right, definition for this team is based more upon individual kind of successes, I guess, instead, but rather than team success. But I'm looking for making it to the playoffs. Is it winning a round? Is it Eastern Conference final? Like, what is a successful season for this team to you?
I think this is kind of like a bridge here. In all honesty, it's
Mhm.
like I'm not expecting this team to win the cup this year. It's a long shot at best.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I could see them going into second round. Genuinely, I don't think we're nearly as bad as many people are dooming about. Like, there, not much has changed on paper besides like the obvious, like, oh yeah, Gensel left, but like we weren't going to sign him anyway. It is what it is. But like, I don't feel like there's a huge difference between the end, like the start of last year and the start of this year.
Absolutely.
I do think we can. I think that it is completely within this team's possibility to make the second round. If anything more than that, I am completely fine with. And if they don't make it, hey, who cares? It's a next year is going to be the real test. Honestly,
we're in the same boat if we don't make it, right?
Yeah. Nothing really.
Yeah, but yeah, I think I agree. Hey, and you never know, with a little bit of bracket luck, you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
So Andrew, I appreciate you coming on. We're gonna let you go. We're gonna get to our next guest, but hey, great insight, great story. You know what you're talking about, and we appreciate you having us on. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just gonna say thank you for having me. Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
If you feel like you want to share your X or Twitter handle, if you'd like to, go ahead.
At HardlightCaster on X or Twitter or whatever. That's it.
All right, Andrew. Thanks again, buddy. We'll see you later.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
All right, AB. Before we get to our next guest, we're going to hit up some of these comments real here. We got in the chat. BTS, not the band. He says yellow. Hey, BTS. I know what your Twitter name stands for now, so I don't have to ask myself
What is
that.
it? What
you don't
is
remember
it?
we talked about this last time. You don't remember?
Oh yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Had a little.
BTS is his initials.
Hey man, the ADHD kicks in sometimes.
I lost sleep over that. The warning take. Hey guys, what's up, Brandon? Thanks for coming in.
Brandon is a very sophisticated man. He's recovering from his MJ surgery, but he's all better now.
Oh, Papa Griff's here. He says, hi, guys. What's up, Pops?
He needs some milk.
Oh, here we go with that again. He's going to punch you in the face.
No, Papa Griff. He's
going to punch you in the face, AB.
It's just a little gag.
All right.
Well, you will to me.
What? You cut out. What'd you say?
I said, I know he will, and I know you would to me if I get out of line.
Kind of man you think I am. Come on now.
A very nice gentleman.
I appreciate that. All right. Hey, we're going to get to our next guest here. So the guest we're getting ready to bring in, his name is Caleb Herrera. And let me bring him up to the stage. This is Caleb. He is currently a journalism student at UNC Chapel Hill. He originally resides in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and he wanted to let us know that his favorite player is Martin Necas, which is going to steer some of our conversation here. But Caleb, thanks for coming on, buddy. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely.
So let's just open it up to you. Your story. How'd you become a fan? How long? What are some of your favorite memories? Floor's yours.
Yeah. So I've been a fan for a couple of years now. I've gotten into hockey more recently. So I got into it during COVID. So about, 4 years. Growing up, I didn't really have a ton of exposure to the sport, but, COVID hit, the world shut down. It's like just kind of trying to figure out things to do. And my stepdad was watching a hockey game on the living room TV, and I just kind of sat down with him. And that's when I kind of fell in love with the sport. And then, the Hurricanes, me living in North Carolina, is like, oh, this is awesome. Like, the team is, right down the road. So that's really great. And then I went to my first Hurricanes game in 2021. It was against the Sabres. And coincidentally, Necas scored in that game, I think, a wraparound goal. So that kind of,
you were like, this is my guy. First goal. Yeah, that's my guy.
Pretty much, yeah. And so, getting into the sport. And then since then, I've kind of, become more enveloped into it. It kind of takes over a large part of my life, which is both good and bad at times. But
I can relate.
I've been pretty fortunate to not have to live through the dark ages of the team that most people had to live through. So, yeah.
Right on. Awesome. So I'm curious about your journalism at UNC. I was looking at your Twitter profile, after you volunteered to come on, and I saw that you have a pretty prominent platform there. You want to talk about that at all before we talk hockey here?
Yeah. So over at UNC, I'm a writer for the Daily Tar Heel, the university publication. I'm on their university desk, so I cover more of like campus and faculty and student happenings. But then this year, I'm a team writer for UNC Club Hockey, so kind of getting more involved into that. And then just a quick plug, the team is doing a game against some of the Carolina Hurricanes alumni this Friday.
Yeah,
tickets are about to sell out, so if you want to go to that, go ahead and get yours now. That's kind of my shameless plug, but it's going to be a really great it's going to be a really great season. A lot of cool players and guys. The guys are amazing. The team's awesome. So just looking forward to that.
What's your score prediction for that game?
Be careful.
I have no idea.
I'm going to plead the fifth. I don't want to.
That's fair.
Keep that answer to myself.
I mean, who knows what's going to show up on the alumni side, right? I mean, who knows?
Exactly.
I mean, what can they skate? Like, I don't know. So anyway, yeah, just moving on here. I kind of want to focus on Natchez here, right? So you're a big Natchez fan. So how stressed were you after the end of the last season, after the playoff exit, and all we hear about is Natchez is getting traded, right? So how did that, how did you deal with that? And are you happy with the outcome?
Yeah. So as soon as the playoffs ended, it was just every day was just kind of me refreshing Twitter, seeing if any Natchez news popped up. And then, he went to play in the Worlds and he won gold for Czechia. And then the comments started coming out from Natchez's dad from like a news outlet that he wanted to be traded, that he wanted to be on a first team power play and first line center. And so I was like, oh no. And then you have the rumors of like, oh, he's going to the Canucks. He's going to Boston. It's like just so many different things. And then you have at the time GM Don Waddell saying, the comments about Natchez in the presser with Brenda Moore. He's like, say hi to his dad for me. And I'm like, oh God, this is happening. Like I have to make peace with that. He's not going to be here. But then the news finally came out that he was signing a 2-year extension. So I was like, okay, awesome. Like I can buy a jersey now without it. Like I can wear a jersey
without it being weird.
I was going to buy one like right when the playoffs ended, but I was like, ooh, let me wait on that. So I'm glad that he got extended. I hope that the contract works out and I hope it leads to something, further, but we'll just kind of have to see how the season plays out.
Okay. Caleb's response. That's impressive. We may be looking at a third host because that was impressive.
That's good, man. Yeah. Yeah, it was. I can relate to the whole obsessed with the Canes thing. Sometimes it's awful, but yeah, I found myself all off season refreshing Twitter every 10 minutes, like needing Natchez news, because I'm a big Natchez fan myself, and I think Caleb, I think it's going to work out. I really believe that he'll be here.
It does.
I think that I don't think he's a center, and I've said this before. I think he needs to own the wing. I think he needs to make that his and be the best winger that he can be, because he's a good winger.
Exactly.
And I think that this season he's going to get top power. He's going to get top minutes. He's going to be on the first power play. He's going to kill penalties.
Right.
There's a need. There's a need for him to be great. He wants to be great, and I think Marty Natchez and the team need each other, and I think they're starting to realize it.
Yeah, so, to have that guy last year was the leading scorer for the Hurricanes, and obviously we had a lot of high-powered stars come in, and it kind of dipped a little bit, and the whole thing with the money, and like you said, Caleb, with the World and his father getting involved. But this is kind of a bridge deal, and it's pretty much if you can play well, you're going to get a payday.
Right.
If not, then we may have to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I vote for the former. AB, just so the record's clear.
Yeah, and just to kind of like expand on that a little bit, I think this season is going to be kind of the team mending that relationship with him, because over the past couple of years, it's been like kind of stressed because this isn't the first bridge deal that he's been on.
Yep.
And, you know, he wants to be a role player. He wants responsibility. He thrives with it. He craves it. So it's going to be kind of meeting the team in the middle with giving him that responsibility, but also being realistic about where his abilities are. I don't really think he's an NHL center at the moment. Could he be in the future? Maybe, because he's only 25. He has so much potential to be whatever he wants to be. So it's up to him to kind of figure out what that is. In the preseason, if you want to try him at center and see if it works, sure. But as Brendan Morris said in the past, and I kind of agree, he's most effective as a winger. And even this past season, you know, he struggled in the first half, but when he came back after his injury, like, he was great.
Yeah.
He played in all areas of the ice. He's attacked the middle of the ice. And in the playoffs, he played great. So just kind of expanding upon that into this season, hoping that it carries over.
All right, we're going to DM Caleb for the next episode at this point.
He knows his stuff, right? He knows his stuff.
He does. He does.
Caleb,
He does.
So you mentioned getting an 88 jersey. So do you have it yet, first of all?
I don't have it yet.
Okay.
I plan to get one
What
soon.
color? Away, home?
AB, can I ask my question?
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry. That's on me. This one's on me.
I'm just kidding. No, you just took the words out of my mouth, because I was going to say, which jersey are you going to get? And then my follow-up question to that is, I am a big proponent of the team going to the 25th anniversary jerseys, like, permanently.
Oh, yes.
And changing the flag, like the old school flag to the new double flag, you know what I'm saying? And rolling with that as the primaries moving forward. So which jersey are you going to get? And do you agree with my previous statement?
I do agree with your previous statement. The jerseys last year were amazing. I don't know why they aren't the primary, but they should be. But in terms of the Natchez jersey itself, I would like to get one of the jerseys from last year, the anniversary one. But if not that, just the standard home one for me is good.
The black,
but honestly,
flag on the front.
Yeah,
well, we really don't know now.
Any jersey, honestly, would be. But now with like Fanatics, I'm like,
yeah,
I was scared too.
I'm treading carefully because, you know, I want to do my research first.
I'm scared too. Believe me, I'm scared.
Well, Caniacsessions is really driving the bus. Well, we're going to be driving the bus to lobby the team to switch to the permanent 25th anniversary. I'm just kidding. We are nothing.
I am.
You should, though.
Maybe I'll send some tweets out.
I am.
Yeah, put some good vibes out into the
At
universe.
Rod Brindamore, at Doug Wharf,
Eric Tolsky.
Listen up, Eric. All right. AB, you got any last questions for Caleb before we let him go and get on to our next?
I told Andrew the trivia question for you, Caleb. What do I call Brent Burns?
Ooh, hang on. I've heard this. I heard this in an episode before.
It's okay if you don't know.
No,
Should we play the Jeopardy music? I'm just teasing.
I don't have copyright to that. I can't.
Is it Alpha?
That's the first part.
Whoa, he's close.
Oh, wait. Ooh. It's the first part? How many parts are there?
Oh, we can't give you that kind of hint.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
They're five. They're 5 parts.
Okay. I don't think I'm getting all 5. Are the first 2 alpha male? Is that?
Oh,
is that
yeah.
I can't tell you.
You can't tell me?
I just
Can't
did.
tell you.
Well,
Okay.
Brit
That's
kinda
2.
did,
That's
so.
2.
I don't know if I'm getting.
I think we give it to him, maybe, because sometimes you say the alpha male.
Yeah. I'll give it to him.
All right,
Caleb got it.
Yeah.
I'll take
Caleb
it.
got
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
It's actually AB calls him the alpha male of our species.
Okay.
Why did you say it? I was going to ask the other 2 guests.
Because it's over. He won.
no.
He got it.
That's true.
I don't know. Fight me.
Caleb, send me a DM and I'll send you a gift card of your choosing
Awesome. Thank you
for
so much.
getting it right.
Thank you.
All right, Caleb. Hey, we really appreciate you coming on. Thanks for being a listener. Thanks for being a fan. And do you want to let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah. Firstly, thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. It's always fun talking hockey with other people. You can find me on X at Caleb Herrera _, all lowercase.
Awesome. All right,
Awesome.
Caleb. We will see you again in the future. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Caleb. He knows
AB.
puck. He knows puck, and all of these guys know puck.
And he knows his Marty Natchez too. So
yes.
Real quick, before we get on to James, we're going to take a quick break and hear from our first sponsor.
Let's do it.
Know the beautiful thing about being a sports fan? There's like 2 days the whole year without a game. 2. With so much happening and so much action. That makes just about every day game day at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. It really couldn't be any easier, any simpler. And if you're new to DraftKings, you got to check this out. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. See terms and responsible gaming resources at dkng.com/base. Okay, so I don't know what's going on with my computer.
There are 2 of them. Hold on, let me try this real quick. Hold on, give me 1 sec. Well, we don't want 2 griffs, even though I love 2 griffs.
There we go.
Yay!
So that's the bad thing about being live. Sometimes you drop your internet for a second, but
what happens?
So what happened? Like, did I leave and like the DraftKings ad was still up?
I saw you. Yeah, it was still up for like 10 seconds, and I went like this. Then I saw you on the left, and then you joined on the right.
Did the entire?
And I was like, there are 2 of them.
Did the entire ad read get through though? Did you hear everything?
Yes, it did.
Okay,
don't worry.
All right, just making sure, got to pay the bills. So, all right, let's get to a couple comments before we bring up James. Scott is back with us. He says, I think this year we surprise a lot of people. Hey, Scott.
I think so.
Scott was with us last session too, and when we talked about that. So, yeah, he knows we agree. I got called a homer today, AB.
How?
I don't know. Somebody that listens to last session was like, you're a homer. Whatever.
Okay.
Brandon at the warning take says go Heels.
No.
That's probably directed that's directed at Caleb.
No.
And Brandon says again, AB seething from hearing the words Tar and Heels.
He probably I texted him and I was like, you're dang right. Because when Caleb said, hey, I went to UNC, and Caleb's a great guy, but I just turned and I was just like, And
then he says 2 Griffs. Yes, we did have 2 Griffs for a minute.
He does have a twin. We don't know about.
That's false.
Well, we don't know about it. That's what it said.
I'm pretty sure I'd know if I had a twin. You know what? My dad's in the comments right now. He knows. He does. He knows I don't have a 20.
He may. I don't know.
All right. Let's move on here. We have joining us next, James. James joins us from Cary, North Carolina, and he wanted me to know when we invited him on, he wanted to make sure that we knew that he was a true. Is it a Carian? Cary. What do we call
a true
it?
guy from North Carolina?
I'm a native.
There we go. A Cary native.
User. I'm not from New York or New Jersey. I'm from Cary.
Awesome.
Rare breed.
That's awesome. So James has been a fan. Let's see. He says he knew of the Canes back in their cup run, but he's been a true diehard, really invested fan since the 08-09 season. He says Jalen Chatfield is his favorite player, which will drive some of our conversation, James. So how are you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining us. Let's hear your story.
So thanks for having me. Like I said, I was kind of aware of the Hurricanes. My family, like my mom's side, is more European. Like she's from Belgium, so football, soccer was the more popular sport in our household. My dad wasn't really invested in any sports. He kind of cared about basketball a little bit, but I mean, hockey wasn't on our radars at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of knew about it because I went to high school in Raleigh. So like I heard, when they won the cup, I was like in between elementary school and middle school. So I was pretty young. But once I was like in middle school and old enough to kind of pay attention, and I started seeing Hurricanes games on the Versus network back in the day, old school stuff. And then you get that playoff run, 08-09. I remember staying up late to watch the Shock at the Rock with Eric Stahl scoring 30-something seconds left. And that image of that New Jersey fan, that lady behind the glass when they're hugging against it, and she's giving them the double birds, which I will not replicate. But that stuck in my mind. Scotty Walker against the Boston Bruins in Game 7, the overtime winner, I believe, in the second round. Like that.
I think that's right.
Yes, that was it.
I was hooked after that. Especially because, important point, my dad actually took me to one of those playoff games. I think it was the one the Hurricanes lost in overtime at home. Not the –
Well, that sucks.
Well, and we had the 200 level seats and everything. It was an amazing experience, but we lost. But, I mean, everything about that was, like, intoxicating. Like, when the Hurricanes – I forget which game it was, but they won one of them with, like, 0.2 seconds left. I think it was UC Jokinen deflection, and Martin Brodeur smashing his stick on the way out.
That's right.
That was, to me, because I had been watching soccer, and it's like, okay, a guy fell over, now nobody does anything for 5 minutes, and then like, and don't get me wrong, I still like soccer. I'll watch it from time to time, but if I have a choice of any sport, like, I'm watching hockey.
Absolutely.
And that's what really got me hooked back then.
We were watching the my son and I were watching the women's gold medal game, the other day, and I told him I made the whole what would make soccer better? Well, cover the field with ice, make it smaller,
put some walls up to keep the ball in so it doesn't go out of bounds all the time.
Take away the ball, put a puck, give everybody a stick, and it's good to go.
Yeah.
So, James, have you watched the Olympics at all?
A tiny bit. I've been trying to watch like I checked out the breakdancing thing because why not?
I was getting ready to ask you about that. What did you think about that?
Goodness gracious. Well, so they've already confirmed it's not coming back to the Olympics again. So
thank God.
I kind of
thank God.
At first I felt bad for the Australian lady, but then I don't know how much you're aware of the story, but it's come out that like her and her husband basically run the Australian Breakdancing Federation by themselves, and they like kind of stacked the deck to make sure she would get to go, and like all the other people who wanted to go from Australia wouldn't. So like now I don't feel that bad that she made a fool of herself. But
craziest thing I've ever seen. So
field hockey's fun. I will say field hockey.
It's different, to
watch.
It is.
So James, obviously you like to go to Kathmandu.
Yes.
What do you think this year, because you have Gossip Spare coming in, do you think he should be paired with Chatfield, or do you keep Chatfield and Orlov together?
I mean, when you look at the underlying statistics, Orlov and Chatfield was one of the best defensive pairs in the league. Now, obviously, they were the third pair, so they didn't get that many minutes, but in the minutes they did see, they were outstanding together. I think it's worth putting them up there. Honestly, I think Brent Burns should be on the third pair.
Hot take.
Hot take.
I love him to pieces, but his foot speed and like I know he's great for the locker room. The guys love him, but come on, man, like we can't just put
slowing down.
Like Jalen Chatfield's style doesn't work for the top line because you already have Jacob Slavin to be the shutdown guy, so you don't need two shutdown guys. So it's like, what, do you put Sean Walker on the top line? I would. I'd rather see Sean Walker there than Brent Burns there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, at the end of the day, this season is a transition where it's like, well, next year Nikishin's going to be up there, so or Scott Morrow because he's going to have a year to develop. So it's like, I'm not worried at all about this season. Whatever happens, I understand. It's like next season we're going to be freaking crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the good thing is about the situation with bringing in Gossesbear, make his reunion here. You know that you have something with Chatfield and Gossesbear because they've done it and it worked. You also know that he can play with Orlov, right? And it gives you options, and that is a good thing. So I don't really think there's a wrong answer there. But Orlov and Chatfield in the playoffs, they led in minutes for the defensive, as a defensive pair, and they drew some pretty tough assignments. So you can go to that, and it's there if you need it. You also know that, and look, I'm of the opinion that Jalen Chatfield can play with anybody. I think he's got the speed, he's the skating ability, he's got the stick. I think that he can play with anybody. I think he could even play with Tony. So I'm looking forward to it. But sorry, I didn't mean to take, I just had to throw that in there.
You're good.
But how excited were you when we found out of Jalen Chatfield's extension? I believe it was 3 years. Is it $3 million or is it 2?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, three by three. I mean, I was excited. He's a guy that, I mean, you can tell he puts in the work. The reason I like him so much is because he works so hard and he is deceptively fast. Listen, I was one of those people during the playoffs last year. I'm like, if we get to the finals and we're against Edmonton, top line, Jacob Slavin and Jalen Chatfield, Chatty's going to shut down McDavid. He's going to keep up with him. He's going to shove him around, push. Okay, that might be a little silly, but I believed it, and I still believe it. He's fast. He works as hard as anybody. He will chase down a puck. He will finish a hit, and he's responsible enough to know when not to hit and when to skate back, and that's what some guys don't have. Yeah. But he works hard in everything he does, which is why he's my favorite player and why I'm so glad we kept him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a huge Chatty fan. I like his story. I like how, he's undrafted. He played his way through the AHL. He got some time at the NHL with Vancouver and then back to the AHL. And then all of a sudden, here he is. And I think he's a legitimate top 4 guy. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the Hurricanes for a while now have been really prided on their defense. And I think it's something where people will try to people will try to insult it and be like, well, you just lost Brady Shea and Brett Pesce. It's like, yeah, I love those guys. But first of all, I guess the main point, if I were to make a point in this whole segment, is people who want to smack talk the Hurricanes are typically people who don't know anything about the Hurricanes. It's the national media. So it's like, yeah,
Rags
great.
Fans.
They'll look at it and like, well, I don't like your lineup. But it's like, cool. I don't care if you like my lineup. I like my lineup. And also they don't know about the fact that Scott Morrow is going to be here probably either later this year if something happens or definitely next year. Nikishin's going to drop out of the freaking sky and be like a Norris candidate from day one, in my opinion. Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, and then what about Jackson Blake and Bradley Nadeau and Felix Unger-Sorum? And then, and net, what about net? Well, we have Pyotr Kochetkov, who's signed for a good amount of time, and he's young. Oh, and then we have Ruslan Karazev.
Peters.
Yeah, Yanov Peretz.
Peretz. Well, you said it better than I did.
But, we have so much in our pipeline. People are like, well, is Carolina's window closed? It's like maybe the Brett Pesce, Brady Shea window closed. But we still have Aho, we still have Jarvis. Who knows what's going to happen with Natchez? Kokaniemi could turn it around. We just signed Jack Drury to a good amount of time. Andrei Svechnikov. And then you add all this young talent that we've been acquiring under the, Don Waddell regime.
And by the way,
we can be good for another 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
And oh, by the way, we're going to have over $24 million in cap space next offseason.
Exactly. Now, a
And-
chunk of that's probably going to go to Nikishin because he's going to be signing a big boy deal. But
Well, if you bring him in on an ELC, if you bring him in entry level, he's going to sign at least a 1 or 2 year entry level deal, and I believe that'll be somewhere probably north of $950,000 for a
Probably
year or
$1
two.
million top.
I mean, he'll get paid, once he's due for an extension. But if the organization doesn't believe Kochetkov's the guy, right?
Yeah.
Which I think he is, but
I think
if they don't, they have plenty of money to go get one. If they want to bring in, look, we've got a ton of big name free agents coming on the board, potentially. You can go out and get your wants. You don't need anything. You have money to spend on wants. So
exactly. And I think the real cautionary tale, and I find it fascinating, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Hurricanes were bad for roughly the same time. The 2010s, neither team was good. Both teams got out of it in very different ways. The Leafs tanked, got some high draft picks, gave those guys a crap ton of money. The Hurricanes, outside of Andrei Svechnikov, we had what? Noah Hanifin was 5th overall, I think. Jake Bean was like a 7th overall, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we never really had the super high
And then
picks.
Murray, that whole disaster.
Well, my point is, like, we made it work by spending our money wisely, spreading it out, not giving 4 guys $10 million plus, like that was ever going to work. And now we're at the point where it's like, Aho makes 9.75, Svechnikov is 7.75, Natchez is 6.5, Jarvis, I think everyone thinks he's going to get at least 8.
Mm-hmm.
But that's so much easier. Like Jacob Slavin, 5.3, that has to be one of the best. Even his old contract was one of the best contracts.
Absolutely.
It's absurd how much value we get. Pyotr Kochetkov for $2 million. He's got 2 more years. He could be our starter for the next 2 years at $2 million. And you look at how many teams are completely cash strapped from their goaltender.
The future is bright, James.
I'm super excited, and I'm going to watch Chicago Wolves games this year. This is the first year I'm going to try and watch as many AHL games as possible, because that's, for the first time, I can actually see a tangible future for the Hurricanes. This isn't, 2014, 2015, when it's we have 2 guys that might be good. And we have to just pray to goodness that we get lucky with a Jacob Slavin in a late round or an Aho in the second round. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I like where you're going with that. The AHL team, the Wolves are going to be fun to watch this year. Jackson Blake, Scott Morrow, Unger Sorum, maybe, depending on who makes the roster, if, whatever. But going off of that, James, I'll ask you this. Do you expect any rookie to make the opening night roster? And if so, who?
I think the highest probability would probably be Bradley Nadeau.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got the most NHL-ready game. If we were going off of technical ability and hockey IQ, Felix Unger Sorum would be high on the list, but he's just too young and too small, I think, for the NHL. Give him a year or 2 in the A, and he'll really improve. I think Jackson Blake is pretty close. I think Ryan Suzuki, if he finally gets a fully healthy year, this is his make it or break it year. I could see him getting called up to fill in for an injury or something, or if somebody needs a rest. But I think what's incredible is that there's a lot of people, even on defense, Scott Morrow could get called up. Haim Salami could get called up. Haim Osalmi, not Haim Salami. But there's so many guys, and it's just they're all. Now, of course, not every prospect's going to pan out. Do I think every single one of these guys is going to make the NHL roster? I hope, with my dearest heart, they do. But even if they don't, it's just nice to have so much optimism about the prospects that we Again, I've been a Hurricanes fan for the entirety of the dead era where it sucked and we didn't have anything. And it's okay, we had Jeff Skinner. He was great. He was amazing. And then what? I have to watch this lineup where it's who the heck
barely
is
breathing.
Yeah. I'm trying to even remember half the players. If you tried to ask me, it's I miss some of the guys.
Eric Stahl, Jussi Jokinen, Cam Ward.
And I love Jokinen.
Victor Rask.
Oh God.
Yoni Pitkinen when he was healthy. I loved him. but like there was no like youth movement
Right.
back then. It was just Jeff Skinner trying to carry like, and then Cam Ward, bless his heart. I love Cam Ward, but like you could tell near the end, it was
done.
It was not great. And it's like going out and watching like Yuri Tlusty, John Michael Lyles, the Alexander Semin experiment, Andre
Scott
Sakara.
Darling.
Oh, Scott Darling. I mean, the Hurricanes, I'm glad that's over. Like, remember the Jack? Does anyone remember Jack LaFontaine? Whatever happened to him?
I do. Yeah. He's
he got
playing
embarrassed.
He's playing in the A. Is he in Coachella Valley? Is that right?
I don't know. I'll have to look, but his first start was embarrassing.
But we didn't help him with that, putting him in that situation. But it's like, it's just nice to have a team finally where I can look at every single person on the lineup and be like, yes, you deserve to be here. Like, you are going to help us win. It's not, and listen, I love these guys. I'm not going to talk bad about an NHL player who could knock my teeth out, but I'm not looking at like, remember Michael Jordan, the other Michael Jordan,
James.
the
That's
hockey player?
Oh God.
It's like, we're not doing that. Or like, remember Jared Stahl, the other Stahl brother?
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing that anymore. Like, yeah, okay, we signed Slavin's brother to play on the AHL team.
Yeah.
Whatever. Make Slavin happy. He is the most beautiful person in the world. I love him. He can do
Was that a part of the deal? You think?
Yes.
Listen, if I'm the owner or the GM and Jacob Slavin comes up to me and says, "Hey, my little brother needs like a roster spot somewhere," I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever." Here's my. Do you want to pick him up at the airport in my car? Like, go for it.
Give me his number. Where's he
What's
at?
his number?
Exactly. Like, it's Jacob Slavin. He is the most overrated. Like, everyone says he's underrated, and then he gets talked about so much for being underrated that people say, well, actually, he's overrated. And it's like, well, he's just the best defensive defenseman in the NHL, which gets no respect. They should just make a separate trophy for that, but that's a whole different conversation.
It sure is, and we are also opponents for that. But yeah, James, hey, great discussion. I totally agree with what you're saying here. And we are going to let you go, though. We're going to get over to our next guest. But hey, we appreciate you coming on. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find you?
So I really don't do social media that much. So nothing to follow me for.
All right. So since Caleb answered AB's question about what he calls Brent Burns, I'm going to ask you if you happen to know what I refer to Seth Jarvis as.
Which one?
What do you mean, which one?
Oh, sorry.
The one. Any idea? It's fine if you don't.
No, I'm drawing a total blank.
Okay. No worries.
Should we give him a hint?
No. I'm just kidding.
I have not the faintest idea.
The first part is E. Just the letter.
No, you're wrong. You're on the wrong.
Which one? Oh,
you don't even know, AB.
Is it start with a G?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, all right. James, hey, thanks again for joining us. We would love to have you on again sometime in the future and talk some hockey.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks
James.
Me.
All right. Hey, we're batting 1,000 so far, 3 for 3. Excellent content. Real quick, we've got to get to our last ad, and then we're going to get to our last guest. So we are going to hear from BetterHelp. This session is sponsored by BetterHelp. What are your self-care non-negotiables? Maybe you never skip leg day or therapy day. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. You guys have heard me talk about this before and how therapy has helped me in the past. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma and etc. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. All right, AB, we're back.
We are back with
Good
our
to see you
final guest.
Yes.
Not the worst. Okay.
No,
She's not last just because she's the worst.
absolutely not. Before we bring her on, though, we got to get to some of these comments. Let's see. Papa Griff says he doesn't remember a twin either, AB. He also says he doesn't remember anyone saying much when Gossespierre left before. What's changed that everyone is so excited about him being back?
Because he had 56 points with the
Let's talk
Red
about
Wings.
Let's talk about that in a little bit with Kat. We'll save that one. He says, I read where Nikishin might be here at the end of April. Yeah, as soon as he's released from his KHL contract, he's here.
Playoffs.
F. Hanfin. Brandon. Dude.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true.
And then he said, and Darling.
No. Yeah, he is.
All right. Now, so this next guest, we've been trying to get on here for a couple months, ever since the playoffs, I think. And it just never aligned. Everybody's busy, but schedule's finally aligned. We got her on, and I expect, hopefully, that she is a recurring guest with us, and maybe unseat Brandon as the most popular returning guest. We'll see.
Yeah, Brandon, you hear that?
So we are going to bring to the stage Kat Whetstone. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are y'all?
Good. So Kat is the Canes beat writer at Inside the Rink. She's also a staff writer for Offside News, and her reporting mainly focuses on the NHL and the communities that surround the sport of hockey. And she's also a student journalist at Meredith College in Raleigh. Kat, we're going to give you the floor here. Introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are and your fandom story here.
Yeah, so if we're going based off of hockey lineage, then I technically fall under the Columbus Blue Jackets, which is my second team. I know a lot of people get really like iffy on having two teams. I have two teams. I do not care. They're both in the Metro. I don't care. Sports are supposed to be fun. I don't care.
No, I mean, yeah, absolutely agree. I don't really have two hockey teams, but
yeah, I mean, my mom is an Ohio State alumni. I was born in Columbus. I was born right after the Jackets came in, so I kind of grew up knowing the lore, but I didn't really know the sport of hockey because again, my mom is an Ohio State alumni, and we have enough Ohio State merch to fill a small museum.
Football.
I grew up a football fan.
Football.
Yep. I grew up watching the Carolina Panthers, which was fun until it wasn't. Yeah, I'm emotionally prepared for my Sundays to be ruined again, but you know what happens. At least I have hockey now. And so I grew up in Charlotte, didn't really know much about hockey. Graduated high school. I committed to Meredith, and fun fact about me is that I'm a triplet.
Wow.
Yeah, I have two brothers. One of them, so I go to Meredith, which for the non-Raleigh people, it's an all women's college right across the street from NC State in Raleigh. I got one brother who goes to NC State, and the other one goes to UNC Chapel Hill. And right after we all committed, my parents were like, "Okay, let's just do a weekend Raleigh trip for spring break. Just get all three of you adjusted into the city, see what's there." Of course, highlighted was Canes game, and my first ever Canes game. I will never forget this. I believe it was April 11th, 2023, against the Detroit Red Wings. Which my parents, they told me when I asked why Detroit, they said it was because they were very, very good in the 90s. My theory is just because they hate Michigan and they want to see Michigan State's like Michigan sports teams lose. So, which is what happened. I remember just Jordan Martinook going yard that game. It was like right before playoffs, and as pretty much every Canes fan knows, Jordan Martinook consumes some kind of magical powers, but before playoff to turn him into prime Wayne Gretzky, and it's ridiculous. And he just went yard that game, and I left thinking that it was like the coolest thing ever. I loved the horn. I loved the storm surges. I learned about Bunch of Jerks, which made me laugh so hard.
That's a good story.
Yeah, and I think I already knew about the David Ayers game, because who among us on this planet has not seen Steve Dangle screaming about
Oh my God.
Yep, absolutely.
That's my go-to stress relief. It's thank you, Steve Dangle, for always, no matter how bad my day is going, I can go for free online and see Steve Dangle having a worse one.
You lost to a backup goaltender.
To a 42-year-old Zamboni driver who works for them.
Yeah,
like,
we've all seen that episode.
My voice
can't
even go that high. That's impressive.
Yeah. Griff, you know who had the most points in that game that Kat went to?
Jordan Martinook?
No.
Was that the Martinook hat trick night? That wasn't the hat trick night.
April 11th, 2023.
Who?
KK.
Oh.
Wow.
The goal and an assist.
Why I'm always like, it explains why I will defend KK to the death. I feel I have a lot of empathy for KK.
What was the Jordan Martinook hat?
Sorry. It's fine. I think it's hard coming in so young and setting all of these records so young, and then like having people expecting you to either be the next one or burn out. And I think KK is just in that weird transition phase that a lot of other guys are in. Patrick Laine on the Jackets.
Mm-hmm.
In which it's just like trying to adapt your game to the NHL level as an adult and not fully knowing how to do that. I think Svetch had that same issue when he came in. I think Svetch is still having that same issue a little bit, especially after his ACL tear, which one of my biggest hopes for next year is actually Svetch. I'm excited to see how he's going to come back from that injury. Because like ACLs, they take a long time to actually heal and repair. And even though it's not a career ender anymore, it's still pretty bad. I don't think that we quite talk about that enough, that injuries are still bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So recent fan, right? So when I say recent, I mean within the last couple of years you became a Canes fan. What so what drew you to to cover the team? Is it the fan first thing, or did you start writing first and then become a fan? Or
the money? No, I'm just teasing.
How did that how did that work out?
I was a fan first.
Okay.
I actually was not expecting to go to that many games. I think that one of the smartest marketing choices that PNC has ever done is their student discount thing, the student rush.
Yes.
That has saved my butt so many times. Like I have been to so many games through that student rush. It's probably why I write for them now, is because they make seats cheap for students. And they make it very, very easy to get in and out of the arena, which is really appreciated for people like me who are at a game until midnight, and then have 9 a.m.s the next day.
Yeah.
But I began writing for Inside the Rink right around the trade deadline, which was right after the Canes picked up Gansel and Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Okay.
And I loved Evgeny Kuznetsov. I think if anyone who knows me knows that I loved him. I was heartbroken when he left. Like I actually cried Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not supposed to be doing this because I'm a professional, but give me about 20 minutes on the in my bedroom, face first on my rug, crying, and I will be back to talk about this when I'm ready. But his return from the players assistance program was the first story that I ever wrote. I loved him right away. And then I went to round 2, game 3, I believe it was, at PNC, with that sign that's now famous on Twitter. That was like, koozie, puck, please, because I'm very non-creative when it comes to my signs. I just like see a Sharpie and write down whatever just pops into my brain. Like, I held it up at the glass with a friend of mine, and he was like shooting pucks at it throughout warm-ups. And I tweeted about it, and it blew up. And I was so excited to have him back for a second season. Didn't happen, obviously, but it's just one of those things where just kind of like one thing led to another. And then I would do these like weekly recaps with the Canes, in which like I would just kind of like cover all the games that they had in a week, the big takeaways. The Gunsell Aho Jarvis line might be one of the best things that has ever happened to me in my job, because it gave me so much to write about. I was thrilled when they put those 3 together. This year, I'm not sure if they'll bring Fetch back up, but all in all, I think that as long as the Canes keep doing things, I have things to write about. And if the people of Raleigh continue to love the Canes like they have, I'm currently working on a profile of Aho right now. And I mentioned in the city of Raleigh, you cannot go to any big event, any grocery store, any Target without seeing someone in an Aho jersey. Yeah. And I think that's a great way of like seeing just how far the Canes have come since the Bill Peters era.
Absolutely. Bingo. Yeah.
So obviously you liked Kuzi. I didn't, but when he was on the Capitals, I hated him.
Same.
But what was your thought on the penalty shot against the Islanders where he took his time? And Griff has a video of it because him and I were both there.
Check it out on TikTok.
Yeah,
check it out on TikTok. Yeah, check it out.
I mean, TikTok. It was insane. I mean, what was going through your mind watching it? Or I don't know if you were there or not.
I was not. I was at round 1, game 2 with that comeback. And I can talk about that for days. But when they put Kuzi on for that penalty shot, I just knew he's gonna do it. He, like, on the Capitals, he pretty much never missed those shots. It was infuriating to watch at the time.
Yes.
He did it against Kachekov in December 23 before he became a Cane. And if Kachekov cannot poke check you, I think you're doing great. So I knew right away that it was going in. I was like automatically preparing myself to see weeks of shot clock discourse, and I was like, I'm just not ready for this. I think this is one of the dumbest conversations we have in hockey. It's the shot clock. We don't need that. And to see it go in, and then to see Seth Jarvis on the sidelines doing that bird sally with him, I just was like, this is our year. This is our year.
Well, let me ask you a follow-up question. With all of the people that have come in from free agency, Carrier, Robinson, Walker, Gossip-Spare, Roslovic, who are you most excited about?
Walker. Are you kidding me?
Ooh.
Our defense, I think, is going to be significantly better than of what a lot of national media predicts it as. And of what I always say on Twitter, whenever a national media person has a Canes take, like the whole is Rod Brind'Amour going to walk or not walk thing that was going on all last playoffs. I kept on saying this, and I'm right every single time when I say this, is that local media knows this team best. National media, they bless them, they try, but they have 31 other teams to cover, and there's 31 other teams that have major things happening there,
That's right.
Like Stanley Cup playoffs were going on at the same time. The Coyotes, RIP, were actively leaving. RIP Coyotes, we miss you and that logo. I am excited though for Utah. I think Utah is going to be one to watch in the next couple of years.
Yep.
And just like so many other factors coming in, and ultimately, I don't think anybody really knows a community as well as the reporters of who cover that community and that have been in that community for quite a while. So that's why I was like so insistent on only like our local guys, like Ryan Henkel, Luke Chakok, they know what they're talking about when it comes to all of this. And I think that with the amount of discourse surrounding Brett Pesce and Brady Shazy walking, I think that of what's been missing is that our defense is going to grow. Because I think our penalty kill was obviously awful last playoffs. You know it's bad when the home team is on the penalty kill and you hear home fans groaning.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that was round 2, game 3. That was not a fun time for me.
Griff, do you think we're a hockey state because we're in the South?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So many people.
The Hornets suck. The Panthers
I know that
suck.
the Panthers suck.
I mean, of course we're a hockey state.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean,
I don't see why we're not, because we've won a cup.
There you go.
We've won a cup more recently than any Canadian team has, by the way.
We've had an all-star
game.
We've had a cup, an all-star game, a stadium series. I mean, what do we need now? A draft? Well,
professional sports teams in North Carolina are not good. I do not care what you say about Panthers 2015.
I'm not even really.
They're all gone. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but we have the NFL equivalent of Alex Marullo.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's you're right.
Yeah. And then our basketball team, we don't talk about the Charlotte Hornets. We just don't.
No.
We just pretend that they don't exist.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
we stick to the college side in basketball.
That's right.
I think with the amount of like collegiate hockey coming in and the outdoor games this year, I think that it'll be a big shift. But in terms of the defense has been an issue previously. I think that Tulski and everybody else in the front office learned from this year's playoffs that defense was an issue, because you can't have Fost getting hurt and our defense just crumbling when you need that defense most. So I think even though Pesce and Shazy leaving, it hurt a lot. I think that upgrade with Walker and all of those other guys, even though like our center position is still vacant, our defense I think is going to really, really surprise people.
You know, I literally felt like when you saw those names be signed somewhere else, it felt like a gunshot, even though you knew that they were going to a different team.
Yeah.
Griff, why don't you say something? I've been taking it over.
Free agents.
No, you're good. I'm listening. No, this is all
the worst day as a reporter and as a fan, because from about 6 a.m. onwards, you turn on your Twitter notifications for Elliot Friedman, and you just wait, and you wait, and then they start coming in all at once, and then you're like, oh man, I got to cover this. I got to cover this. I got to cover this. And then you get extensions, you get these like insane contracts.
Right.
I think I was the one person on planet Earth who was surprised by Gunsell leaving. I was completely under the impression that
he'd be back.
that he was going to stay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thought he was leaving too, up until I thought he wasn't, because they were talking about, and then when he left, I was like, there it is.
Because ultimately,
why can't we have nice things?
Even though, like obviously, like the biggest draft story for the Canes wasn't actually the draft; it was Gunsell.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, Kat, I agree with almost everything you're saying. Great, insight. We are going to have to look at wrapping this thing up, but we want to have you again on again, hopefully longer another time, if you'd be open to it. But
absolutely,
yeah.
Put me in, coach.
All right.
I'm ready to play. There we go.
Before we let you go, though, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you and read some of your work, which I'll add that I've read some of it, and I think it's great. I think
I have as well.
I think you're off and running, and so let everybody know where they can find it so they can read it as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Please bring me back. I had so much fun.
Of course.
Thank you. You can follow me on Twitter. I do not call it X. It's still Twitter.
I agree.
You can follow me at cat_Whetstone, all lowercase, spelled like my name. Which if you spell it wrong, it happens a lot. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
That's your problem.
It's your problem that you can't follow and find me, because ultimately I think that I'm funny. I think that I'm funny. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So also at Inside the Rink as well, right?
Yes. My Twitter bio, I have a link tree, and all of my work is on that link tree. So it's Offsides Inside the Rink, the Meredith Herald, which is the Meredith College student newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
We're all very superstitious over there, so I don't cover hockey. I brought it up in a pitch meeting once, and they said, not until the cup.
Oh, I know. From my mother, I know.
Yep. Meredith alumni.
Awesome. Well, definitely everybody check her out at Cat. You said cat_Whetstone.
Yes.
On Twitter /X/alphabet, whatever we're calling Twitter these days.
Whatever.
Elon Musk's brainchild.
That's right.
And so, Kat, thanks again for coming on and talking hockey with us. And we will talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much. Y'all are the best.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you, Kat. Take care. Wow.
All right. AB, 4 for 4, batting 1,000.
That's right.
Great lineup tonight.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it.
Oh, so did I.
Before we bounce out of here, though, AB, we got to.
Our guests were.
Sorry, it froze up for a second. Anyway, before we bounce out of here tonight, we got to cover this one question. And it says, I forgot to get to it with Kat, but he says he doesn't remember anyone saying much when Gostisbehere left before. What's changed that everyone is so excited about him being back? I think
points.
Well, yeah, but I think when he left, I think everyone knew that he was going to test free agency because, Carolina really wasn't in position to pay him.
Yeah.
And, he wanted long-term and he wanted, money. And I don't think we were in position. I don't think we had, with the needs that we had for the team and, and during this time there was the rumors of D'Angelo and, I think the team wanted to go and revisit Tony D'Angelo. And I think that it was just understood amongst the organization and the fan base that Gostisbehere was going to go find a deal somewhere else. Right. And as much as we wanted him to come back because he fit well here, he played well here. I just think that it was known that he would go find a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And free agency happened. And if you remember last offseason, like nobody had money.
Yep.
It was bad. I mean, it was bad, with the cap not going up as much. And, there's just wasn't a lot of money out there. And he ended up taking a 1-year bridge with Detroit at a kind of like a prove it deal. had a great season at Detroit, 56 points. I think it was 13 goals, 40 whatever, do the math, assists, and
do the math.
And yeah, and then, you know, Detroit wanted to bring him back. But Carolina reached out and said, "Hey, if you want to come back and you know, play here,
we're better. Come back."
And so he's been on the record in various interviews saying that, you know, he loves playing for Rod, he loves playing in Raleigh, he likes the area. So, you know, getting a 3-year contract here at a pretty good number, you know, he was totally excited about it. So he came in, you know, 2 seasons ago at the trade deadline, came in and produced immediately. Was very helpful through the playoff run. So I think that's why we are excited about him being back. I didn't want him to leave. I would have loved to keep him. But again, I just think it was understood that we just didn't have the money.
That's right.
So, AB, any last thoughts? Anything you want to say before we get up out of here tonight?
Well, I'll take us out.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much for listening and watching Caniac Sessions, session 54, a word from the fans. I also want to thank the people that we had on. Everybody did such a great job. They are clearly Caniacs. And if you want to keep up with them, we have mentioned them on the live stream. And when you listen to the podcast on any podcast platform, you can find us at Caniac Sessions. You'll see where they talked about their handles, where you can find them. If you want to keep up with me, you can follow me on X at AB Caniac Session. And if you want to keep up with Griff on X, you can follow him at M_Griff10. On YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in session 55.
That's right. Bye.